Hi, we have some big news and you can say you heard it first from MedEdits. Hi, I am Dr. Jessica Friedman, Chair and Founder of MedEdits Medical Admissions. I am also a former Associate Residency Director of Emergency Medicine. Something that we have been hearing about for years at AAMC meetings, the Association of American Medical Colleges, is the possibility that the USMLE Step 1 was going to become a pass-fail test. And again, this is something that has been kind of in the works and has been in discussion for many years. And today it was announced that as of January 1st, 2022, the USMLE Step 1 will become a pass-fail test. Let's just kind of discuss a little bit of history to understand why this decision was made. The USMLE Step 1 was originally designed to be a qualitative test, but with the increase in the number of prep materials that existed, the USMLE really became a quantitative test. And students were able to do very well on this exam because they had so much material with which they could prep, especially not only with books, but also now with online materials. And this was really becoming quite a stress for second-year medical students. And so there was a push, number one, to make the USMLE a qualitative test rather than a quantitative test. And number two, there was also a push to decrease the incredible amount of stress that this was causing second-year medical students. So as of January 1st, 2022, that's the proposed date right now, the USMLE Step 1 will become a pass-fail exam. Now, this therefore will impact any student who will be taking the exam at that date onward. So anyone who's currently in medical school, this will not affect you. So this is really going to be affecting future medical students who are now applying to medical school and will be taking the USMLE Step 1 in 2022 and beyond. Okay, so now the big question becomes, how is this going to impact residency selection? Now, for those of you who are learning about this and who don't really understand a lot about medical education, the USMLE Step 1 score is the score that really became the screening for many residency programs, in the same way that the MCAT score, right, was the screening for medical students. So for example, if you were, let's say, applying to orthopedic surgery, which is a very competitive specialty, there would be some programs that might use a USMLE screening score of 230, which is a very good score, meaning that if you didn't get a 230 or above, you weren't going to be interviewed by that program. In the same way, again, going back to the MCAT, there are some schools that are going to use screenings for the MCAT. So if you don't have a 510 or higher, you're not going to be interviewed at certain medical schools. So the USMLE Step 1 is used for residency in very much the same way that the MCAT is used for medical school. Now, what are residency programs going to do without a USMLE Step 1 quantitative score that allows them to screen applicants? Okay, and the reason that residency programs need to screen applicants is because the residency programs don't have the people power to actually review the number of applications that come into their office, right? So if a residency program, let's say, has three residency officers that are reviewing all the residency applications, and they're, let's say, getting 3,000 residency applications, there's no way those three people can actually review all of those applications. So the big question that we will have to wait to see, what the answer to this is, and I don't think anybody knows at this point, and I'm sure that residency program directors are just at this point like, I don't even want to deal with this right now since I don't have to deal with it yet. But the big question is going to be, how are residency programs going to screen applicants without having a quantitative USMLE Step 1 score? Okay, and I think I have a few ideas of what they might do. They might use the USMLE Step 2 clinical knowledge score, which as of 2022 will still be a quantitative test for which students will get a 3-digit score. However, there sort of is suggestion that that might also ultimately go pass fail, but they're sort of trying to phase this in gradually. I also think that it's possible that residency programs might start asking for students MCATs, because as we all know, the MCAT exam is sort of a predictor for how you're going to do on the USMLE. So I think that residency programs might start using MCAT scores and might need to start learning about MCAT scores, to screen for residency. Or I think that there's also the possibility that residency programs might use some other type of tool or exam that maybe hasn't even been developed yet, that everyone will kind of get together on in order to figure out, again, a quantitative way to screen applicants. I do not think that things like letters of reference and the MSPE or Dean's Letter, whatever you want to call that, I don't think those things are going to carry more weight, simply because those things those are qualitative aspects of your application, not quantitative. And with, it's not as if residency programs are going to start to get more funding in order to have more people in residency leadership, so there's more people to actually review those applications. That's not changing. So residency programs are fundamentally going to have to figure out how they're going to be screening applicants without having this USMLE Step 1 score. I think the good news is that the first and second years of medical school or the preclinical years of medical school will be less stressful, and so I think that that's great news for medical school applicants. And so ultimately I feel that as far as what this means for medical students, I think it's all on the good side. I don't think there's any bad news here. I think that the bad news really is for the residency program directors and for all of the residency specialties. I think the onus is on them to kind of figure out now, how are they going to be screening applicants? And so, we obviously will be following this very closely, as I'm sure, all of you will be as well. And as we start learning more about how programs are going to be screening applicants, how different specialties are going to be coping with this, and I do think there might be specialty specific ways of coping with this. So for example, family medicine might deal with this in a different way than orthopedic surgery. There also might be program variations. So one program might deal with this in one way and another program might deal with this in another way. But I do think it's very likely that the Step 2 CK score, which students typically take at the end of their third year of medical school, I do think that number potentially is going to become more important. And I also think it's possible that the MCAT score, which I realize everyone would, once they get into med school, they want to be done with the MCAT, but I do think that it's possible that students will start being asked to report MCAT scores as well. But who knows? We will see, where this takes us, and of course, we will keep you up to date. So please subscribe to our channel. I will, inform you of any new developments, official or unofficial. And if you have any questions or comments, please post them below, and I will respond. And of course, feel free to visit us at www.mededits.com. Take care.